Hello everyone. A spot of rain on our camera lens at the last corner of the Nürburgring. It's Radical Cup Europe race number 2, the penultimate weekend of this brand new Creventic promoted series. And we are getting to the very sharp end of the championship, and this could be quite dramatic. It was very dramatic yesterday with 5 cars off at turn number 1. 18 degrees, air temperature is about 5 degrees less than it was yesterday when they went racing, but the humidity way, way higher. And that cloud on that graphic is a bit bigger than it was even from the last race this morning. Hopefully, we have our rain jackets ready. Carla probably hasn't yet. It's not needed yet, Carla, but it feels heavy, doesn't it?
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Ben. Well, yes, actually, I'm getting hit by little drops of rain down here. Not quite sure what I think of that. I do have my jacket on because I don't trust this Nürburgring weather at all, but it is possibly one of the many reasons why this second race of the Radical Cup will be very exciting. Now, we had an incredibly exciting opener yesterday. The first turn, literally in the first race, was already quite wild. And there are 2 men I would like to speak to about. One of them is Lowen Stevens. Good morning, Lowen. We talked yesterday, you were not in a race suit. I'm very happy to see you in a race suit. How's the mood this morning?
It feels good, you know, hopefully better turn 1, and the weather is looking a little bit 50-50, but as long as I keep it on the track, should be in for a good race.
Any tactics that you're going to play out now in that turn 1 after what happened yesterday?
Well, I'm going to try what I did yesterday and stay out of trouble, and hopefully this time there won't be a 3-car wide in turn 1.
I think that's a very good idea. I'll leave you to it. Good luck. There is one more guy. Ooh, I think it's going to be tight to speak to him. So let's just walk past him. I don't want to disturb him anymore. But we do have Paul Denning, who is sitting in the car next to me, the RS3 in the green livery. Paul, can I still speak to you? Oh, lovely. Paul is very flexible with me. Thank you very much. Paul, you were in that shenanigans yesterday in that very first lap, very first corner. How are you feeling now ahead of the start of race 2?
Well, as you can see, my car's rather multicolored compared to yesterday, but yeah, it was a shame. It was a mistake by the other guy, but these things can happen, and the biggest shame is these cars are so amazing to drive that to miss the 50-minute race and be fresh to it today makes it a bit more difficult, but let's hope we avoid that in turn 1 today and we can have some fun.
Sounds like a plan. I need to get out of this grid ASAP, and it's time for you guys now to cover the actual race action.
Thank you very much, Carla. And it is a very similar starting grid to yesterday. I think we've got all our radicals back in, maybe not exactly how they turned up at the circuit on Wednesday, but certainly in functioning colours with all wheels and bodywork in the right place. Marcus Littlewood is on the pole once again. Mitchell van Dijk second once again. That was how the grid was in race 1, and the same for race number 2. They were eliminated by the time they got round the first corner. Flip Svensson qualified the SR10 in 3rd position ahead of Lowen Stevens. Lowen was on row 2, as we just heard yesterday, and got eliminated along with Paul Denning. But Erlen Jan Olsen in the 911 sits in between the 2 on row number 3. Sebastian Schue will start the 38. Pascal Bachmann was our winner yesterday. He starts on row number 4, the Swiss driver. Brian Huang was fast for RJ Motorsport in 9th. John McLeod sits on row 5. And then Diego Dambra in the 55 starts the car that Jesse Franson started yesterday. Ross Broad board alongside. Eddie Van Dam starts the 33 that he shares as well with Jahid Fazel Karim. The man that caused the accident yesterday was given a 5-place grid penalty. That's dropped him to the tail of the field. Now, I spoke to race director this morning about the incident, and Yahid told him that his foot bounced off the brake when he went over the grass on the very inside, so that he was braking fine and then when he went over the grass, the right foot bounced off the brake, and that is why he then ended up running into rows 1 and rows 2. He eliminated the best 4 cars from qualifying and left us with 5 cars less on the race.
You'd be absolutely mortified in that position if your foot comes off and you've got something under control, and then all of a sudden you haven't, and then you clatter into people. You'd be sitting there going, oh no, 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 don't want to do this. That's hugely embarrassing for him. But he's at the back of the field now, so we know his pace is a bit quicker than that, so we'll look forward to Jahid Fatal Karim coming through the field a little bit further, getting a bit further through the field during this race.
The Soul SR10, it's got about double the horsepower of the SR3, but it does weigh a bit more as well. And Philip Svensson didn't get a chance to play with that car yesterday either, not because of the elimination of turn 1, but it had a gearbox problem, if I remember correctly. Hopefully they've managed to fix that car. And Svensson, the faster of the 2 drivers, it is a car that is in the same hands, in theory, a faster car than the SR3. And so Philippe should be right up there battling with Marcus and Mitchell. Marcus still leads the championship as we go into Barcelona next time, but his advantage massively reduced after scoring no points yesterday and being eliminated. It is Sebastian Schue who is still second in the standings in the number 38 machine, with Erland Wanolson third in the standings, just 6 points back from the Step Motorsport 38. Now, the Step Motorsport 38 car in the hands of Sebastian Schue is a much faster car than in the hands of Matthew Stromstedt. Nice helmet from Diego Dambra, multicoloured. Looks like he's been attacked by a kindergarten, doesn't he? So, the GR Yaris leads our field up towards the final chicane. 14 cars will be heading their way towards turn number 1. No rain yet falling from the sky, but it does look threatening. Higher wind, less temperature. These little lightweight machines will take time to build temperature in their tyres. We saw the Prototype Cup race earlier on really struggling with lockups in the first couple of laps. We go racing, we go green, heading down towards turn number 1. Doesn't look like Marcus Littlewood has made a particularly good start, and the power of the SR10, look at the advantage that the SR10 has in the hands of Philip Svensson. He is miles ahead as he goes into turn number 1, and we still go very, very tight. There's still contact with our first couple of cars. There's 4 wide and 4 wide banging out to the exit at turn number 2, but thankfully they all managed to make it through this time with just a bit of rubber on the bodywork of some of our leading SR3s. Whoa, that was close, Snowy.
It certainly was. I thought we were going to have a little repeat of yesterday, but they got to say 4x4 going through there, but they got away with it, or a little bit of contact on the exit of turn 1, but everybody pulled through safely.
I think that was Lowen Stevens with the multicoloured car that looks very different to how it did yesterday. He's moved himself up to 2nd position. We'll get clarification once the timing screens kick in, but that green nose, which wasn't green yesterday, I'm sure we saw as Lowen Stevens when Carla was interviewing him. So that's from 4th position. Very, very strong start.
And great to see this SR10 version out here, the only one in the field, and hopefully we'll see some more of them joining this Radical Cup Europe over maybe the rest of the season, or what's left of it, maybe into next year. It's great to see a little bit of variety out there and running at the very, very front in the hands of Philip Svensson.
Little swapper from the 911 of E.J. Olsen, who is sitting 3rd SR3 right now with a lot of cars behind him, including, I think, the pole man, Marcus Littlewood, who just didn't get away. I mean, of course, slightly distracted by the SR10 just disappearing up the road. But when it came to confidence and breaking into turn 1, he didn't look like he had it. And yeah, so confirmation that it's not Lowen Stevens, it's Paul Denning who is in 2nd position. Sebastian, no, that can't be right. I mean, let's just get the... Oh, it is right. Wow,
it is right.
Schue up to 3rd. the 38 machine was way back on the grid. And here he is in the slipstream, looking down the inside to take second position here from Paul Denning.
Paul Denning having to give there. The door, the job was done. The door was jammed firmly open by Paul Denning, nicked through the inside, and great driving from the pair there. Respectful, sensible driving between the pair of them to get that job done.
Remarkable start from the Dane. Ahead now of the Norwegian. And Paul Denning is as well the Fangio leader, who was also missing from the race yesterday. Marcus Littlewood down to 5th position as we ride on board with Sebastian Schue. He is now the leading SR3, so can't really concern himself with Philip Svensson up ahead, because Svensson, in theory, as I said earlier, has about double the horsepower in his 2.3-litre EcoBoost engine car. EJ Olsen running wide through Dunlop Curva, opening the door partly for Marcus Littlewood to try and find a way through for 4th position, but then taking just a different racing line, and the door shuts on the exit. So 38 is Sebastian Schue. Then the green-nosed number 25 is Paul Denning. Then EJ Olsen in the 911, Marcus Littlewood in the 3, and Mitch van Dijk was also on that front row. It was like the front row didn't have any grip, because he's dropped to 6th position. Just both of them obviously just got swallowed up.
Now, how the weather can change so quickly. A few moments ago, just before the start of the race, Ben, you mentioned it was looking a little bit overcast. The clouds were looking a little bit darker than we had even just moments before. Carl Lavelti on the pits said to, on the grid walk, said to us that little spots of rain coming down, it doesn't bode well. And now we've got bright sunlight over the whole of the pit lane, swathed in sunlight. I thought that was going to become rain. So it looks like we're going to be dry for the moment. Of course, whatever I say, the opposite happens. That's how it works.
Littlewood looking down the inside into turn number 1. There isn't the space to find a way through on EJ Olsen for the moment. Battle for 3rd. Oh, hearing a skid from somebody.
Certainly tyre noise in the background, isn't there? That's at the turn 1. Who's that just recovering? We'll got eyes on that in a second.
Could be Lowen Stevens. I only say that because...
No, it was Brian Hung.
Okay, Brian Huang, all right.
Brian Huang's having a little bit of a radical rotation.
Radical rotation, I like that. Brian was really strong yesterday. One of the strongest cars out.
Yeah, absolutely.
At points, of course, we were missing 5. But the Taiwanese driver that races over in America as well as racing in the European Championship. Oh, that's a late move from Marcus Littlewood down the inside of EJ Olsen at Dunlop Curve. They run side by side as they come out of the curve. EJ's going to have the inside line at the Schumacher S's, and therefore it isn't done. You don't want to be running side by side through there, but Marcus Littlewood looking really strong in 4th position.
And I wonder whether Marcus Littlewood was just a little bit wary and circumspect after yesterday's start of just not getting involved in something again.
Marcus Littlewood trying again, and this time he gets through into 4th position past EJ Olsen. Still side by side coming up the hill towards the chicane. Marcus Littlewood, you can't go side by side through there, and he doesn't. Oh, but he gets on the gravel. That's going to invite another car. Mitchell van Dijk, I think, is going to come and join the party as they come round the final turn. And they are 3 wide as they come across in front of the commentary position. Littlewood now ahead, and I think Mitchell van Dijk should be able to get around the outside as they break now into turn number 1. Big defence from Marcus Littlewood on the inside. Around the outside comes van Dijk, and this is all to clear EJ Olsen, which they now do on the exit of turn number 1. We're right on board with Mitchell van Dijk. Olsen in 6th now. Next car behind is Lowen Stevens. And then there's a gap, isn't there, of 7-second gap to John McLeod in 8th spot. Oh, just getting a little bit loose at the top of shot there as we take a look at the replay of the start. Now look at the front row, follow those two cars, particularly the white machine just ends up way back. So already, okay, they've lost one position to the SR10. I suppose it's on the exit of turn number 1. Now Mitchell Van Dijk has already lost 4 positions going into turn number 1.
I think there was a little bit of trepidation after yesterday's incident there. People just being super cautious into that, not wanting to repeat. Yeah, you've got to be in it to win it, and there was a little bit of contact anyway. So that was all kind of unfolding in front, and people just very wary of not having a repeat of yesterday and 4 or 5 cars getting involved and taken out, which obviously played into the hands of Pascal Bachmann and went on to win his first race. And he was thinking, "Thank you very much, chaps. Can you do the same again, please? I'd rather like to win a second race." I'm sure he wasn't.
We were very clear, weren't we, yesterday, that the opportunity for Pascal Bachmann was never going to come as easy again. Indeed, the whole podium were people that you would not necessarily expect to see on the podium.
Yeah, but that's racing, and he seized it and he won it, and it's a win is a win, and you can't take it away from him. Good for Pascal. Wonderful result.
Yeah, it was a Fangio. Was it a Fangio podium? Certainly 2 of the 3.
Yeah, I think 2 of the 3 were. Yeah.
Lowen Stevens now the next man to try and get past EJ Olsen. Reminder that EJ is the 3rd in the championship, but in this first part of the race he is not really going, well, he's not going forwards, he's definitely going backwards. Lost 2 positions on the last lap, and now John McLeod, the 2nd Fangio driver, over 50s Cup, the Fangio Cup, and just 0.3 of a second between Olsen and Stevens. No space going down into the left turn. Interesting, I just noticed that there are some right-hand drive SR3s and some left-hand drive SR3s. You look at EJ Olsen, he's on the left-hand side.
You're absolutely right, I hadn't noticed that, isn't it? You look at a car and just see what you want to see, don't you? You're absolutely correct. I'd never really thought of these being left or right-hand drive.
Is there an advantage either way? Going around a clockwise or anti-clockwise circuit?
It depends which way the circuit goes, I suppose, doesn't it? Yes. Yeah.
Develop the thoughts now.
Exactly. Yes. Discuss.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What we'll do weight distribution and all that. And it obviously depends how much the driver weighs. That's a considerable thing. It's one of the best parts of a racing car. Is everybody saves weight and drills holes in pedals and all that kind of stuff to save weight. And then you put a driver in that's heavier than they perhaps once were. Am I looking in the mirror? Yes, I am.
So corner weights would be the main thing, not necessarily driver vision or anything like that. I suppose in an open-top car, not so much of a problem.
When we say corner weights, this is the pressure of the weight of each corner of the car. They have scales from the cars, sit on scales in their awnings and garages, and they're literally weighed, so you can adjust how much weight is on each corner of the car. So if you have a predominantly left or right-hand drive car, you want to make it stronger, tougher that side, if you like, so the car sits equally, because you want the car to be sitting flat, so the aerodynamics underneath the car, whether it be minimal, not like a prototype here, but it still works for them in their category. You want the car to be balanced as much as possible.
So you want each corner to be the same?
Correct.
Okay. A little feint of a move from Stevens to the outside of EJ Olsen there, but it didn't work out through turn 1, and he'll have to follow now through turns 2, 3 and 4. Next opportunity, maybe braking downhill into turn number 5 to the left-hand side. And not quite close enough yet, but 2.5 seconds lost now to Van Dijk in 4th, to Littlewood in 3rd. And Littlewood now keeping Paul Denning, keeping attention on Paul Denning. Of course, a different category for the leader. That's why I'm saying they are 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th rather than 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, because the Vortex Performance Run SR10 is a different category of car, quite a different category of car. As I said, 2.3 litre EcoBoost engine tuned. So I know that engine very well because I've had a car that's had that engine for 5 years. It normally produces about 350 brake horsepower, but in the SR10 it's tuned to 425. And these little motorbike engines powering the SR3 producing just 232 brake horsepower, but the car's so light that that changes the power to weight ratio a lot. It still does feel as though it is a formula where smoothness and momentum is rewarded rather than just relying on outright grunt.
Absolutely, it's a different kind of thing. It's it's very different to the Prototype Cup we saw on the previous race. They're still a little open, proper race car, purpose-built, designed to a lot less aero than the prototypes we've seen. They're not closed, so again, less aero in that sense. But they're still critical to how they're driven. And if anything, power to weight ratio, when you get a really light car, you've got to be more precise, more thoughtful, careful with your inputs, and understand the car more. A little bit of an outbreak there of himself into turn 1.
Just went over the curb, didn't he,
yeah.
Stevens? And that unsettled the braking zone. So easy. As soon as you're unsettling the car by running over a curve, then the brake will grab and the light apart, and that's what happened there, and locked the left front tyre going into a right-hander, so you basically don't have any steering. Reminder, we've got a pit window coming up very shortly, and we will invariably, most drivers won't do anything. They'll come into the pits, they will have a tyre pressure adjustment, and then they'll go back out. But we do have 4 cars with teammates, and of course that will allow an opportunity to swap drivers. Another squeal of tyres in my ear. Unfortunately, I think I'm hearing all of the different camera microphones, so I'm not sure that was a representation of where we were looking. No, and we now picked up the 77. So it was Jahid Fazi Karim who spun. He was the car that caused the incident yesterday, and it was him who made the skid mark noise in my ear.
Yeah, which we could hear in the background, but he's recovered and is back en route. So he got that 5-place grid penalty for yesterday's foot bouncing off the brake pedal and causing it into at that point he literally had no control over, or less control than he would have liked, yes, shall we say.
I mean,
which is a horrible situation to be in, because you just feel guilty. You don't want to be doing that. So you never want to damage your car, let alone competitors' cars. So that I do feel for him. That would have been a horrible moment.
Got himself up to 10th position. Probably lost that now after that spin. Although by the time we managed to pick him up, he was still moving again. So a spin and continue at turn 4 without a huge loss of time. Marcus Littlewood, 3rd position. Oh, Paul Denning's gone around from 4th spot. These little radicals are not easy.
That's allowed Mitchell van Dijk to go through, and I think Olsen might well, but he's certainly now going to be in contention of that. And we've got that's number 8. That's Ross Board, who also had a spin. Looks like he's been recovering. That's on the final turn going on to the pit straight. He's now 13th.
I just wonder whether this sun is having an effect. I know that sounds a bit weird, but these guys were expecting cloud cover and potentially rain. Certainly that was the idea when they would have left their garages and headed towards the grid. So have they set these tyres up in a way that they would not be expecting the track temperature to build greatly? And look, it is sunny. Littlewood coming up towards the middle part of the lap, and it's bright sunshine there. So are the rears starting to plead no more? And you know, for the likes of Ross Board, that means coming into the pits as soon as you can and getting some air out of those rear tyres. Now, Littlewood has passed Paul Denning. Okay, so this is something that we missed going into the S-curve at the top of the hill, and that seemed very easy.
Seemed almost too easy, didn't it?
Way too easy. So I wonder whether Paul Denning really has got an issue and is struggling. He's obviously dropped.
He's had that spin in the Mercedes arena, hasn't he, already?
But that was the pass was before that.
Yeah.
Because when he spun, we were following Littlewood and we dropped back to look at Paul Denning. So Denning losing about 10 seconds to Marcus Littlewood on that lap, thanks to the spin.
Now, you're saying about the bright sunshine, Ben. I predicted rain yesterday for this, and my weather forecast chart is I'm going to stop paying this subscription because currently it's saying we should have at the moment 50% chance of rain.
Right now?
Right now. And so, as ever, what I need to learn from that is with the interview that I think it was Sarah did with Paul Truswell, one of the RSL team, and one of our strategists at Le Mans, who's working for Red Camel this weekend in the main feature race, the 12-hour. And she put that to him yesterday in the pit lane when we were under Parc Fermé rules, where we had the red flag because of the barriers being rebuilt. And Paul said, not according to my information, no, there might be some light drizzle. In classic Paul, it was just a statement. And it was just it was unequivocal, and that was it. And I thought, well, when Paul says it that way, perhaps I should disregard my weather app and stop paying a subscription.
Our graphic.
So basically, Paul Truswell saving me money. It's brilliant.
Our graphic did the same thing at the start of this race. It showed us rain, cloud, and sun. And so it just basically just hedged all bets. And I suppose you could pretty much do that the majority of the time you come to the Nürburgring. We are in the Eiffel Mountains, and that is quite often the case that you could have all three at the same time. In fact, was it Thursday evening there was a big rainbow? So that
chase that pot of gold.
That requires.
Then get yourself a racing budget, then, wouldn't you?
Yeah. If I can find the end of that rainbow. So Marcus Littlewood now onto the tail of Sebastian Schue. He's really making progress, isn't he? The number 3 looks to the inside into turn number 2, but Sebastian covers the inside line, makes Marcus Littlewood have to go all the way around the outside. It won't work, Marcus. Sebastian far too wise to that. Again, goes to the outside line. I think there's a lot of guys really, really struggling. Surely Marcus Littlewood can't go all the way around the outside. Through turn number 3, has to switch back. Oh, he's got him. Beautiful racing for Marcus Littlewood, having to force a switch back.
Not yet. He's got the inside line. Hasn't got the inside line for the next corner, so it might not be done yet.
Schue's got the inside. Marcus will run around the outside, which will turn to the inside for the next corner, and that is going to work. Wow, good racing. Taking a combination of corners to make it work, but Marcus Littlewood up to second position, but Sebastian Schue wants it back, looks under the rear wing to get a slipstream down into the Dunlop curve, forces Littlewood to defend, and around the outside goes the Dane, but he's not quite close enough.
Never going to work there, that round the outside. You've got to dive down onto the brakes, onto the inside there if you've got any chance at it. It can be done, and there will be examples of it done, I'm sure, in all different categories. But that's a very brave move, Seb Schue, to try and go around the outside of that Dunlop curve, but it's not done yet. Marcus Littlewood, let's look quickly, as you said, took a few corners to tee that up, and that natural flow of the circuit here at the Nürburgring just played into his hands, and he just read that to absolute perfection and made it all work for him. Seb Schue now, little lack of concentration there, running slightly wide over the curve. That's just cost him just a fraction, but it's just put him a little bit further back, a few metres further back from Marcus Littlewood.
Now, Seb Schue is the stronger driver in that combination with Morten Strømsted, and therefore, even though the pit window is open right now, I don't expect to see those guys in till right at the end of the window, even though I think Seb would probably like to have a little tyre pressure tweak. It looked horribly understeery when we were riding on board with him, and that is why Marcus Littlewood has disappeared down the road. 7 seconds to the good is Philip Svensson, but of course Svensson in a different category of car, so effectively your SR3 leader is Marcus Littlewood, and we shuffle the pack once we put our second drivers in. And of course, don't forget that we have mammoth differences in requirements to stop in the pits, as we saw with the Prototype Cup yesterday. The combination of driver and also the success you've had in the series dictates how long you stay in pit lane. And the bulletin is out wonderfully. So 80 seconds for Marcus Littlewood in the pits, whereas 65 seconds for Philip Svensson, 60 seconds for Sebastian Schue. So if he can stay within 5 seconds, he'll be able to jump back ahead of Marcus Littlewood. And the 8 machine, which is Ross Board, 45 seconds. 33 has 35 seconds. They're the guys right at the tail of the field. But it still will shuffle the pack, even though... Hang on. So getting ourselves ready for pit window. Let's have a look at how Marcus managed to make this work. So goes to the outside at turn number 1.
Tries to run it around all the outside. Seb Shue says no, that's not happening. Then comes back through the Mercedes arena, goes around the outside, which is a long sweeping left-hander, but loses out at the apex, but does a switch back through almost dramatically over to the other side of the track, cuts across from the left to the right-hand side. That puts him on the wrong side of Seb Shue through the left-hander to run down to the Dunlop hairpin at the bottom, but he keeps his foot in and manages to get the job done unbelievably. And then as he come downhill, remember, gravity is your friend, he slices in front of Seb Shue. Seb gets a run out of the exit curb, tries to go to the all the way around the long side and all the way through parallel, all the way up to the apex. He's there, but then of course he just runs out of road at the exit, and basically Mark Littlewood has got the job done through a sequence of 5 corners to make that work.
Yeah, there's only
play the long game,
lap, isn't there? Half a lap to get it done. And really cool to see. Unfortunately then, what we cut away from is about 2 corners later, him just turning in and it not sticking, and him understeering off into the gravel. Gathered it up again, but we now follow our actual leader, Philip Svensson. Solved the gearbox problems, and Peter Gustafsson, who's the bronze driver in that car, will be getting in for the second part of the race.
So we have the first of our pit callers, Ben. Lowen Stevens is in from P7 and Brian Wang from P10. And I believe we're going to have Jahid Fazal Karim and Eddie Van Dam also into the pits. It says fuel because it's coming past the fuel area, then it updates on our graphic. It's absolutely correct. It's going past the fuel bit for the refueling of the feature race today, and then it turns into a P to say they're in the pits. So 4 cars we have in the pits now. Lowen Stevens, Brian Wang, Jahid Fazal Karim and Eddie Van Dam all into the pits. Our top 6 have yet to pit, so that once again this will shake up the order a little bit for us, and it'll then settle down, give it 2 or 3 laps after. A little bit of tyre pressure coming out of the front and rear of the Radical Nederland number 33 entry.
Yeah, that's Eddie Van Dam getting out and Alan Berg getting into that car for the second part of their race. A late entry to this weekend. Second entry
Outgoing
from Radical Radical Netherlands.
My apologies, Ben. I cut right across you there. Sorry. I was just observing there that the outgoing driver doing the bit, holding the belts out of the way, because they don't spring away. They do. Some GT cars do that. They have them on elastic or whatever type device to keep the belt. So when you do the buckle, the thing all pulls open. Then you put it back on. But of course, getting into that car, it's a swap over, and you don't want to sit on the belts because then you can't get them out. And of course, they're molded seats, so it's not like an ordinary car seat. You can't get it. The driver's got to lift up again to get those belts out. So a lot of time taken up there doing that if you don't look out. So that's why the 2 drivers always work together, and it's usually the etiquette is the responsibility of the outgoing driver to buckle in the incoming driver. It's a driver thing. The mechanics, technicians deal with the car, the drivers deal with one another.
Next lap round, EJ Olsen and Paul Denning now into pits, and there is our leader, Svensson, now only 3.3 seconds ahead. Marcus Littlewood doing the damage right in the significant part of the race, a 59.7, the only driver to be in the 59s, and he's done 2 of them as the pit window opens. Whilst we wait for more cars to go into pit lane, we've got half the field in there now. We've also got Carlo Van Dam, who's just jumped out of the 33 with Carlo.
I actually have Eddie Van Dam, who just jumped out of the car, out of breath. How was that stint for you?
That was a good stint. Unfortunately, my start was so-so, was not the best, but I couldn't overtake what was basically what I wanted to do, because here on track with all the same cars very close to each other, it's very difficult to overtake. So I was a little bit quicker. But at the end I got overtaken by the black car, and So I got some flat spots as well because of that. So after that, I needed to pick up the pace again. So it was not easy, but it was a good race for sure. Very close.
How difficult was it in the morning to decide on tires and tire pressure? Because the weather is changing so much this morning. What was the decision this morning?
Basically, we did the same as yesterday, because yesterday we started at 9 o'clock, and now 1.5 hours later, the sun was coming a little bit, so we decided to keep it as it is. So that's why, yeah, in the morning it's a little bit chiller. So yeah, so it felt quite good. At the end, it became a little bit warmer, so the tires went back. So hopefully they dropped the pressure during the pit stop, because it's warming up now quite rapidly. So no, it worked out quite well. Only the last few laps were getting difficult.
Well, that's sometimes how it is. I wish you good luck for your car for the rest of the race. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Carla with Eddie Van Dam, not Carlo Van Dam, who is a racing driver and a very successful one, and could well be the younger brother by the looks of the photos. Not quite sure. But Carlo Van Dam, same age as me, racing over in Japan. So more cars in the pits, including our leader now. Littlewood, Sebastian Schue, Van Dijk, McLeod, Bachmann, Denning, Olsen, Amber and Board now out on circuit. Stevens getting back up to speed. And really, not much to say. Right, here comes the SR10 into the pits of Philip Svensson, our actual leader. He'll be handing the car over to Peter Gustafsson. And be interesting to see how that car survives the second part of this one. Stromstead now aboard the 38. That's another car that needs to try and hold on. And whilst we wait for it to all shake out, let's go back down to Carla.
Diego from Team Race Streaming, you just got out of the car with the biggest smile on your face. Did you have fun out there?
We survived, and that's the most important. And I think I had a good start. Couldn't really find the pace, but I'm in front of those I should be in front of. So yes, and I'm always happy when I get out, not destroying the car, and did an okay job, didn't look stupid. And now it's my teammate needs to finish it, right?
Now you can breathe, exactly. How tense was the start for you? Because yesterday it was quite a shocker. You had to be very careful out there. So what was going on in your mind ahead of this race start too?
Well, I just kept on the right side, because knowing that that was the place that did the accident. So if I covered that one, maybe he wouldn't dive bomb there, and the accident, or I don't know if they were doing a little bit of a struggle on the outside. So for me it was easy. Found myself ahead of a lot of people, and they started overtaking me because I'm slow. But we will get there.
Well, sometimes all it takes is a bit of patience and being smart about how you race out there, correct?
Yeah. But I need to switch on a little bit faster. I want to get on the podium again.
We will see you on the podium again one day for sure. Thank you for your time and good luck for the race.
Grazie.
Grazie a te.
I mean, you could say thank you to Carla in 5 different languages, which would all be respectful.
Absolutely. Just to avoid any confusion, Carlo and Eddie Van Dam share one thing only: surname.
Surnames, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They look quite similar. Older brother, Morten Stromstead.
Stop.
What? Definitely older brother. Stromstead is our leader, I believe. We're just trying to shuffle the last couple of pit stops, but I think the 38 ahead of the 67. Marcus Littlewood dropping down to 3rd position, not because he had a slow pit stop. There's nothing to do in the pit stop, because by regulation, his success across the year means he has a longer pit stop. So he has to do the work again to get himself back to the head of the field. Gustafsson should come out in the number 9 as our actual leader. There he is.
Yeah, he is on the outlap, yes.
Yeah,
he's out.
I think he is, because looking at the back of shot is a white SR3, and therefore that probably, if the camera waits back, is the 38 machine. Although actually I'm not convinced now with the green sort of flashes behind him. Through the Dunlop curve for Gustafsson. As I say, he's the bronze driver in that car, but it's Philip Svensson grabbed the lead of the race in, and that gearbox issue that they had in qualifying, certainly hampering their progress to get that car at the head of the field. It's Mitchell van Dijk in second position by the looks of things at the back of shot, unless Stromstead is ahead of them. Here is on board with Mitchell van Dijk with that number 9 ahead. Question is, where is the 38 in relation to them? We've got a tracker, haven't we? Maybe
I'm just ahead of you. I'm just doing that.
maybe have a look at that one, and that maybe answers our question. And here is the 67, Mitchell van Dijk.
So 38 is just coming across the start-finish line now.
I think that was an error from the 9 right in front of the 67. There is the 38, so it is Stromstead that leads. It's now Van Dijk in second position, but Gustafsson with the power down the main straight to snatch that position back. He just had a massive swapper through the final chicane, which dropped him momentarily behind the 67. But now back ahead goes the number 9, and Mitchell van Dijk has the less powerful car, but has the skills and slots back down the inside at turn number 2 to take that second position back. 7.7 seconds the gap between Stromstead and Van Dijk, and look who's right behind Marcus Littlewood, only 1.2 seconds back. He'll be pushing Van Dijk hard. These two on the front row of the grid. Not good starts from either of them, and they've had to work really hard in the first part of the race. But now, in the second part, they've got to chase down Stromstead, who's 7.7 seconds to the good. Denning 5th, Stevens 6th, EJ Olsen in 7th. And then the rest of our 14 runners post-pit stop hasn't really shuffled the pack that much, other than putting Stromstead to the head of it.
Yeah, and I think it's just a matter of time. So Marcus Littlewood is hot on the heels, as you say, 1.2 seconds off Peter Gustafsson, who's only 0.3 off Mitchell van Dijk. He, in turn, is 7.7 seconds off Marcus Stromstead. My apologies. Marcus Littlewood, I think he's going to be in touch. That 1.2 seconds has come down dramatically, and I think he's going to be in touch of Gustafsson a little bit closer this lap, to say the very, very least. Now, on screen now, I've got Littlewood right up behind Mitchell van Dijk.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Because he's got past.
Because the graphic, of course, you go over the line and change the graphic. That's correct.
And
yes.
Gustafsson's actually
Just threw me off scent for a minute there.
Gustafsson's dropped behind Denning and Stevens on that last lap. And there is a little battle going on between those two for 4th position, just half a second separating the two Brits. Now, Littlewood and Van Dijk on ultimate lap pace in qualifying, not massively separated, but certainly when it came to racing, you got the feeling that Marcus was the stronger of these two. But at the moment, track position to Van Dijk. Look how much they took out of.
Look at Marcus Littlewood again, doing the same thing he did on before the pit stop, lining it up and straight down the inside. So much more decisive this time, and that's the job done a corner earlier than his previous. He had that move last time round, and he's done it again. So to perfection.
Getting better drive out of 4 and just able to drive his way past Van Dijk into 5. It wasn't really an out-braking move. It was just simply more momentum.
Oh, 100% it was power. Pure power. Just drive off the corner. Exactly right. Super bit of driving there from Marcus Littlewood. He is now... he's got a little bit of work to do, hasn't he, to get up to Marcus Stromstead.
14 minutes remaining. Littlewood has got a gap of about 6 seconds to Stromstead to take the lead. Now, is Denning and Stevens catching Van Dijk? Because at the moment they're together on track. The more they fight, the less likely they will be closing down the 67. And I think their pace is weaker, to be honest. We'll see on the next lap, because last lap they had to clear the SR10. But the green-nosed Denning, as we have a spinner, and that's the 55.
D'Ambra.
Well, it's not Diego D'Ambra, because Carla spoke to Diego in the pits, so it's Jesse Franson aboard that car. And And Diego, yeah, because Carla definitely interviewed Diego in pit lane. So a little spin from Jess, and that will put them to the tail of the 14-car field. I wonder why Pascal Bachmann, presumably he had some success penalty. Oh, and there's a mistake from the 38, from the leader. Stromsted's been around and made life really easy for Marcus Littlewood. Yes, he was closing in, but he didn't need to be handed the lead so simply. And whilst we were trying to dissect the 55 spinning, so does the 38 at turn number 3. Gets back going again, gets back going just ahead of Van Dijk. And actually, Denning and Stevens did close in on Mitchell Van Dijk on the last lap as well. And possibly will do even more so, as Van Dijk looks to be being held up by Stromsted. It was at turn number 3. We just picked it up right at the end.
I think Stromsted's going to be under a little bit more pressure, to say the least, there, isn't he, from Van Dijk? That's going to create a little bit of a battle there. Meanwhile, just behind them, Denning and Stevens, is it, that are coming into place?
Yeah,
they're catching up and they're going to join that battle. Much like our prototype cap race, that won't help Mitchell Van Dijk, running a little bit wide there, kicking up the gravel. All the stones on the debris on the exit of the turn there.
That turn number 9 falls away from you as you exit. And Van Dijk is really starting to muscle his car. There are lots of arms and elbows trying to keep the car under control and understeer as he drives the car off the final turn. I think these cars are going to be struggling on their Hankook tyres at the end of this 50-minute encounter. We've got 10 minutes still remaining. Littlewood leads. And it's starting to become a country margin, isn't it? I don't know, what is a country margin? I know what it means. It means a big length, but why does a country margin mean a big length?
I don't know, we'll have to look that one up.
I thought you were a country boy.
Yeah. I know everything.
I thought you'd be able to, okay, that's one for the 12-hour Michelin.
Exactly, we'll come back to that one.
Make sure you join us for the second part of our 12-hour Nürburgring, Michelin 12 hours of the Nürburgring, which kicks off after this race in about an hour's time, actually. And again, Mitchell Van Dijk, massive understeer behind Stromsted. I don't know whether that is aero wash causing that or whether it's just optimism, but he tries to go around the outside at the Dunlop curve. That doesn't work. It's the big hairpin at the bottom of the hill. And all of this is inviting Denning and Stevens to the party. And that party is for second position, and it's a party that will give you a podium. You can forget Littlewood. He has disappeared off up the road. But I get the feeling here that Mitchell Van Dijk is by far the stronger of the two, but he's making a bit of a meal of trying to get past Stromsted.
He's certainly going to try his best, isn't he? And so he should be. I think rather like the Prototype Cup, it's going to be... it's one of those races that's built up again because of the pit stop. In the second half, it's suddenly condensing. It shows how well balanced the cars are and how equal they are in many measures with the driver lineups and different driving styles. But it's going to be quite close at the front. I think we could have not necessarily a four or five way battle, but we're going to have 4 or 5 cars certainly on the same lap, but very, very close at the end.
This could be Van Dijk's best opportunity for a while. Stromsted looking in his mirrors. He's expecting Van Dijk to attack as he gets to the end of the straight into turn number 1. Van Dijk not close enough. And now he's going to be looking in his mirrors, seeing Denning and Stevens closing in and realizing that he's going to have much more to worry about than just overtaking for second. And instantly, look at that. The way that Denning and Stevens just drive the correct racing line through turns 2 and 3, and suddenly they're there, whereas Van Dijk and Stromsted are all over the place. And while we have a very interesting battle with 8.5 minutes remaining for second position, on board with Mitchell Van Dijk, who's Mr. Understeer. Look at this, all the way through turn number 6.
Yeah, but he's got the car under control. It's very neat. We saw a little bit of it on board there, so we could see the hand positions of Van Dijk there, Mitchell Van Dijk. And
Do you not think that felt like understeer?
Oh, most definitely. What I'm saying is he wasn't fighting, he wasn't correcting it, is more to the point. He's obviously come to terms with that understeer and setting it up and turning, and knows it is, but just playing it, just floating it on that balance of understeer and not running wide. That was my point. It was a consistent steering angle input,
yeah,
and not fighting it and correcting it all the way through. So he's obviously understands that car now. It may have understeer because of its tyres maybe a little bit worn now.
And this
than
is
he's expected.
Particularly he understeers as the circuit plunges downhill. He's much neater around the back end of the paddock, down the hill, then up back the other side towards the Vidal chicane, which is the faster version of the NGK chicane, which is your proper Grand Prix circuit layout. Denning looks to the inside of Van Dijk, but that's through the final turn, so not really an opportunity. All it does is compromise Denning out of the final turn, and now all of a sudden the Fangio leader needs to defend from Lowen Stevens, and Stevens is right under the rear wing, has to look to the right hand side, which is the outside, now switches back to the inside. That's a lovely move from Lowen Stevens. Oh,
contact.
Denning tries to go deep to defend it. Very odd decision from Denning. Paul Denning almost came off the brakes to try and defend the attack from Lowen Stevens. It nearly put him into the back of Van Dijk. Have to watch that again. Very unnecessary, and now I reckon Lowen Stevens might have a puncture. Runs super wide out of turn 3 and opens the door for Denning to go back through.
Yeah, or maybe just overcooked it, haven't got ahead there, because he seems to come back on it again. In less than a second, splitting these four across the start-finish line, and there was a tiny little bit of contact there, which obviously that's a concern. Has it done something to the steering? We saw that in the Prototype Cup. One of the cars got damaged because of that side contact, or has it created a puncture? And it may not be evident straight away. It can damage the sidewall of the tyre, or take a little bit out of the rim, or chip it, and then all of a sudden you've got a slow puncture, which is not what you want with just under 6.5 minutes of this race to go.
Still, Stromstead holding on to second position. Van Dijk trying to be inventive, creative, find different ways to get past this 38 machine, but nothing has worked so far. And of course, we have seen struggling with understeer in that car as well. Denning back ahead of Stevens. Their incident at turn 1 has been noted. And this time Mitchell, missing the apex on the right-hand side, so slower through that particular turn than he could have been, but it's given him a good run. It's given him a good run up the hill towards the final couple of turns, but again, it's not a braking zone, so...
No, but what he's going to do is going to do a Marcus Littlewood here. Oh, he was going to do a Marcus Littlewood if he hadn't got a massive twitch in the corner. Now defensively diving down the inside. Denning's trying to go up the inside and get another bit of contact. That's going to put Lowen Stevenson back into position, is it not, alongside onto the pit straight. So everybody fighting there, all playing their own battles, and it's suddenly helping out one at the very back there. So, Lowen Stevenson gets fourth position there, third of this group of 4.
And Stevens down the inside. Denning trying to go around the outside later on the brakes. Actually, it kind of works for him because he has the inside line for 2.
Unbelievable.
And the position. So I think that was what he was trying to do last time. That's a very creative way of getting back your position, but it works for Denning. And again, Stevens goes wide at 3, loses the rear end.
Yeah, but I think is he losing the rear, or was that his choice to go there? Because when he comes out to the next part, the right-hander, that's where he gains traction. So perhaps he knows something about the way his car in particular is handling. He's going in high and wide on that big left-hander of the Mercedes arena to get a shorter run and open out that radius to the right-hander on the exit down to, which will then take his left and then down to the Dunlop curve where they're arriving now. So he's not actually losing time, is my point.
Oh, here comes Van Dijk down the inside of Stromstead. This is his best opportunity so far, but Stromstead with the outside line holds on as they head up towards the Schumacher S's. But Mitchell Van Dijk finally at least getting alongside the Danishman, even if he doesn't manage to make it stick this time. That swapper, by the way, from Van Dijk in the penultimate corners last time, putting Denning alongside him. And Denning was then nearly put into the pit wall. He was on the inside line, and our camera didn't quite show it, but basically I think Denning was...
The entrance to the pit wall there, yeah.
Faced with the tyre stack that marks the entrance to the pit wall and had to back out of it. Would have been a horrible, scary moment for Denning. We come back to that part of the circuit once more. Van Dijk rattles over the curbs left and right and then towards the final turn. This time he doesn't have somebody on the inside of him. I hate that enters the pit wall there. I do not understand why it has to be in the middle part, right on the apex of the final turn. It feels to me so dangerous. But that is where it is as they cross the line for another time. 3 minutes and 13 seconds remaining. Littlewood leads by 15 seconds ahead of a four-car battle. Denning late dives down the inside of Mitchell. Doug, who spins around.
He was tagged. I'm sorry, Paul Denning just tagged him that ever so gently there. It just caught it, and he nearly managed to catch it to Mitchell van Dijk from third. He's going to be furious now. Car stalled. He's had to spin it round. Beautifully done, but I'm sorry, Paul Denning came from a long way back there. I would suggest possibly too far back, and I'm sure he just tagged Mitchell van Dijk. Yeah, there it is.
And he nearly tagged Lowen Stevens as well.
So that might mean that there's a potential penalty for Paul Denning.
Well, two lots of contacts for Denning into that turn one. And I know the race controller noting them. I don't know whether that means that they are doing anything about it. But Van Dijk, who looked like he should have really been up the road away in second position with Littlewood, now finds himself. Of course, our timing screens, none of them have updated, so don't know where he's rejoined, but presumably he's still in fifth, ahead of EJ Olsen. Yeah, EJ right behind him, actually, so he has rejoined and not lost too many positions, but he has now company for fifth. He's probably going to now put in best lap of his race, I imagine, because he is in free air. He can focus forwards. He doesn't have. He's been held up by Stromsted for about half the race so far.
Otherwise known as the red mist lap.
And the red mist lap, yeah, exactly. Last lap board is out for our leading cars. They've just had to get past the 55 of Jess Franson. And here comes Denning down the inside. Oh my gosh, he is so late on the brakes into turn number one. And once again, he runs deep on Lowen Stevens. And this time he can't do the cutback that he's done before. And Stevens should have this one covered. As long as
that's cost him, hasn't it?
He's run deep in three quite often. This time he holds the inside line and does make it stick. But they haven't got enough time to challenge Stromsted. And I'll tell you what, that number 38 car has been, been driven very well. But he's been very lucky not to have lost a couple of positions. Here it is again.
It's Paul Denning's sort of favourite signature manoeuvre there, where he dives down the inside from quite a way back, a bit closer this time, but he's gone in so late on the brakes as he turns and rotates the car through. He can't stop it. Got to run wide on the exit, and that's actually cost him the time. So it didn't work in his favour there. Lowen Stevens managed to stay ahead of him. It has been quick, though, through the Mercedes arena there, but not on this occasion. So Paul Denning, that manoeuvre there has actually cost him a place.
Yeah.
Well, I say cost him. He was in that position going in. At the apex, he had it, then lost it again. So it's yin and yang.
But I wonder whether there's a penalty coming his way as well. It won't be decided until after the race now, because this is the last lap and this is the last corner for Marcus Littlewood, who failed to get a racing lap in yesterday, but takes victory in race number 2 to consolidate his advantage at the head of the championship standings going into the final weekend in Barcelona. A masterclass of radical racing from Littlewood. Look how close it is still for second position. Stromsted somehow holding on, and that is positive for their championship challenge as well. Stromsted sharing that car with Sebastian Schue takes second. Lowen Stevens will be third, and Denning may or may not be fourth position, depending on what penalty he gets for his dive bombs into that first turn. Car 77 under investigation for track limit infringement. How significant? We haven't seen an under investigation for dive bombs yet for Denning, but it won't affect our podium, and that's good news, because we always like to celebrate a legitimate result. And Van Dijk in 5th, E.J. Olsen 6th, McLeod takes a checker flag in 7th. And we're just waiting for the SR10 to come across the line in the hands of Peter Gustafsson, who is due any moment now to take a podium, because we will celebrate that SR10 victory with a podium. And it ends up 10th position, so actually he did lose another spot to Alan Berg on that last lap. Our winner from race 1, Pascal Bachmann, down in 12th position behind Yazid Fazal Karim. And one last car to take the flag will be Ross Board, who had a couple of entertaining situations during that last race. Let's take a look then at the results of our second race here at the Nürburgring. Provisional results, because there is an investigation under for the number 25, but Marcus Littlewood clearly the victor by 21.5 seconds in the end over the Step Motorsport duo of Schue and Stromsted. Lowen Stevens will be the third man on the podium, with Paul Denning 4th, Mitchell van Dijk dropping down, and actually the race control already deciding a 10-second penalty for the 25 car, and actually that doesn't drop him any positions, so he will stay in 4th spot because Van Dijk is 13 seconds back from him. E.J. Olsen 6th, McLeod 7th, then the SR10 in 8th position, Brian Huang 9th, Alan Berg completing the top 10. And there is the rest of your results. And so, the victor, Marcus Littlewood, getting his helmet off, and he'll be able to talk with Carl Avelti in just a few moments' time. Redemption after a disappointing Saturday for many of our leading contenders. And what about Stromsted absorbing all of that pressure to hold on to second position? Highly entertaining for him. Gosh, Marcus doesn't even look like he's broken into a sweat.
It's these young kids, isn't it? Just toned athletes.
Right, let's go down to Carla to talk to some toned athletes.
Well, that's how I like to speak to you. How are you feeling? Congratulations for P1.
Thank you. Yeah, well, slightly stressed. Yeah, that was probably one of the harder races I've won. But yeah, once I got through, I thought, well, I knew I would be quite quick and just from there head down and just focus forward. But I'm super happy and proud of what we've done. After what happened yesterday, we bounced back in style. So.
Take me a little bit into your start. It looked like you were a little bit hesitant, might have been a problem. What was going on there?
No, yeah, I was full throttle, so I'll have to have a look into that. Everyone just seemed to get a really good launch off the start compared to me, and yeah, turn 1 was action-packed as always, but yeah, we managed to bounce back and stay going forward, basically.
Fantastic, splendid job. It was really, really lovely to watch you racing out there. Thank you for that action. I will head over to our P2, Morten, a man with a big smile on his face, if I may say so. Morten, I need to have a conversation with you first.
Okay, thank you.
That was lovely. You really fought your way through to P2 now there, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I was in P1 and then had a spin, so I sort of owed it to Seb with a magic start, so we had to get the second.
Listen, I like to make fun out of the way that our commentators say names. Can you pronounce your last name, please?
Stromsted.
Stromsted. Oh, so they did do a good job then. Very good. All right, so no jokes here. Mr. Schue,
yeah?
How are you feeling?
Really, really good. I'm super happy about the second place. I mean, yeah, going into T1 at the start, I didn't imagine I could gain so many places. But yeah, just tried to hold on to it. Marcus was really fast, so yeah, tried to battle him, but lost the battle in the end and handed the car over to Morten, who drove it home in P2. So that was mega.
It was mega from you too. Thank you very much for that race action. Now, before we go to the podium, do I still have some time? I have some time for one more. All right. I will take Lowen with me towards the podium, but I need to have a word with the man. Yesterday, fully devastated. Today, quite happy, right?
Yeah, definitely after yesterday, it's a nice high. I mean, not the cleanest race I've ever done, but I feel like I left room for everyone out there, so it's all I can really do.
Exactly, and it's exactly where we want to see you, on the podium, and that's where we're heading right now.
Entertaining racing across the board from our radicals. They really do look like very, very fun cars to drive, and you can see the smiles on all the drivers' faces, really, really enjoying that. The Nürburgring is a very entertaining circuit to go racing on. Here are the highlights then of our second race of the weekend, the penultimate weekend of the Radical Cup, and an amazing start, as you would expect, from the SR10 that led into the first turn. There was a little mistake from Marcus Littlewood, I forgot about that, that nearly eliminated the front four cars once again, and it meant that he had to fight through the pack to get back to the head of the field by the second part. There were spins around the second half of the field as cars struggled with this traction around the circuit. Paul Denning went for a spin, so did Ross Board. Eddie Van Dam frustrated with a spinning car, as Martin Stromstead also had a spin and handed Marcus Littlewood the lead. Somehow he then held on to second position despite dive bombing from Paul Denning, and lots of very creative racing between himself and Lowen Stevens. In the end, Mitchell Van Dijk getting caught by the front end of Paul Denning and spinning him around. He dropped 2 positions from that and leaving 2 cars to fight at the head of the field. But easy pickings from Marcus Littlewood, who wins by over 20 seconds. This shot that we had at the start was very grey at the start of our Radical race. It's much nicer now. We are still expecting some rain coming, and make sure you join us for the 12 hours of Nürburgring coming up at midday. But first, let's get to Carla, who has the podium.
Indeed I do, and I'm going to get right into it with the overall winners, and therefore also the winners of the SR3 category. We are starting off with P3 with Lowen Stevens, P2 with Sebastian Schuh and Morten Stromstedt, and P1 with Marcus Littlewood. Now please give us the winning anthem. Chris Pruden, Head of Motorsports and Business Development at Radical, is handing out the trophies, starting with P3 for Lowen Stevens. P2 with 2 trophies, one for Sebastian Schuh and one for Morten Stromstedt. And the golden trophy everyone is racing for Marcus Littlewood. Please step together, lift your trophies for a nice photo. And feel free to celebrate with champagne. Brilliant celebrations. Thanks very much for those images, you guys. Congratulations. Well done on this very challenging weekend. We are now setting up the podium for the next category, which is the SR10. And we have one car on the SR10 on the podium. That is Philip Svensson and Peter Gustafsson. And the trophies, of course, for a well-deserved position for surviving in a very, very tough race and overall very tough weekend. Please, Chris. Now please lift your trophies, look straight ahead for some lovely photos, and if you feel like it, celebrate with champagne. Or not. Well done, you guys. And over to our last podium, which will be in a few seconds, the Fangio winners. On P3 of the Fangio category, we have Ellen Berg and Eddie van Dam. On P2, John McAleod. And P1, well-deserved, Paul Denning. And one more time, Chris handing out the trophies for the Radical Netherlands team with Ellen Berg and Eddie van Dam. The silver trophy goes to John McAleod from RJ Motorsport. And the one everyone wanted, but only Paul Denning is getting, the golden trophy for the RSR team. Now lift your trophies, look straight ahead for some photos. Lift your trophies. Beautiful. And if you feel like it, celebrate with some champagne.
My mechanics deserve this.
That's it from the Radical Cup from race 1 and race 2 here at the Nürburgring. We will see the Radical Cup Europe and the World Finals in Barcelona in just a few weeks. Race Sunday is over for Radical, but not for the rest of us, because the second part of the 12 hours of Nürburgring from the 24-hour series will start in a few moments, so make sure you head over to that stream and enjoy that in full length.